What's up, Coach? Today on Coach P Talks, I'm here with Coach G. Where do you coach and how long have you been coaching for?
I coach at Chaminade College Prep in West Hills, California, and I'm going on year 25 of coaching.
All right, now going all the way back, did you play football?
Yeah, I played high school football at Burbank High, and then I went to go play JUCO at Glendale Community College. JUCO was interesting. I felt like it was a lot of politics at JUCO. Like during that time, they were trying to get kids out. I had my online coach actually tell me that I was better than the guy in front of me, but they were trying to get him out. So I had to sit out.
And is there something you wish you would have known that probably would have made that experience better for you?
Focusing on school would have definitely helped me out more. Like just focusing on that, focusing on training, and just taking it more serious.
After JUCO, how did you get into coaching?
So I got into coaching. I went to JUCO with a couple of my buddies, and we heard one of our friends was actually coaching at our old high school. So we went. After our first year of JUCO, we actually decided just to go check it out and try getting into coaching. And then, so I played 1 year JUCO and then just got into coaching after that.
And was that something that was immediately like, I'm gonna do this, or did something significant happen with like a player, like a game or practice? What was your sign that this is for me, this is what I want to do?
It probably took a couple years for me to really get into coaching.
Yeah.
Like the first few years, I think I was just out there just having fun and just trying to be like one of the kids in like high school again. So it probably maybe took me year 3 to actually take it more serious.
What was it that made you take it more serious?
I think I wanted to be a head coach. I wanted to like coach college football. I wanted to make it into the league. So that's what probably got me more focused on coaching.
So you're now at Chaminade, but walk me through that timeline of where you coached and how long you coached there for.
So I coached at Burbank High from 2000 to 2007. Then I coached at Monroe High School for a year. And then from Monroe High School, I went to Chaminade from 2008 season to 2012 season. And then 2013 season, I left Chaminade to go be the varsity line coach with who's our current head coach right now, David Machuca. He got a head coaching job at Bell Jeff in Burbank. We were only there for a year, and then I went back to Chaminade, and then left again in 2015 to go coach at Village Christian with David. We only actually stayed there for a year, then we actually went back to Chaminade since then. So I've been back at Chaminade since 2016.
Okay. And you've gone to different schools, you've gone to different programs. How has that experience been like, and what have you learned throughout those years?
Throughout the years, it's just, I learned that kids learn differently. Okay. Like each kid is like, you can't actually hold all these kids to the same level because, all of these kids learn differently. I had to like kind of take a step back and kind of coach differently with each different program from where I left at Chaminade.
What advice would you give to some coaches that are like in the situation of you, like you're going from school to school? Is there something that a coach should look for when going to a program, and what is it that it should be?
I think if you're gonna go like from program to program, I looked at who the head coach was, what the like traditions they had there. So in Burbank, I was the offensive line coach, and then so I was the JV offensive coordinator since 2004 to probably 2006. I was the assistant varsity line coach at that time. And then when I went to Monroe, I was the offensive coordinator and the varsity line coach there. Chaminade, I was the JV line coach, the freshman line coach, and I just was on the lower level since then. And then at Village Christian, I was the varsity line coach there. Now I coach all 3 levels. On Friday nights, I'm the assistant varsity line coach. I'm up in the booth, helping coach it up.
Cross shop, JV, and then varsity. Do you approach it differently, or do you approach it the same way with all levels?
On the lower levels, I coach a little bit differently. It's more about them learning and understanding the fundamentals and their assignments. So they can actually, when they get to varsity, it becomes more
natural.
Yeah, more natural. And with varsity guys, I think it just depends on the age. If it's like, say if it's a sophomore that's his first year playing varsity, you gotta kind of like, be a little harder on them, but still realize that they're still learning and they're gonna make mistakes. With the varsity guys, it's just like, you gotta be on them a little bit more, but you just gotta realize the difference between a sophomore and a senior of what they're gonna do.
Now taking back to the year when you guys won state, how was that experience for you?
Well, that was a great experience because I have a lot of kids that I cherish from that group because I call them my kids, and some still call me Papa Goop. That group, they were a tight-knit group. They basically did everything together. It wasn't just defense and offense. It was like they were all like connected together. They were like a family. They were all brothers. That's the difference that I saw in all the years. Like they stuck it out together.
Was there anything that happened that last year where you guys were close and it just didn't go through, or was it already written on stone that you guys were like favorite to win?
So actually, the year 2012, I wasn't there, but I did follow them. I did keep in touch with a lot of kids, and they made it to the CIF finals.
Okay.
And they lost it to Sarah. So the next year, they knew it was gonna be a battle. It was gonna come down to Sarah and Chaminade. If everything played out right, it was kind of written that it was gonna be them two, fighting for CIF.
Now, going back to the team being tight knit and how you saw them win the championship, is there anything else that you saw within that team that you knew, or other players that are watching this that should see it, and like what are the keys to success on like pushing through that adversity to winning it all?
So with that group in 2012, they actually should have won that game, but they did an onside kick to try to get the ball back, and then they actually recovered the ball, and you can see, like, they replayed it, and you can see that it rolled 10 yards and we got the ball back, but they gave the ball to Sarah. So I knew a bunch of those juniors were really upset, and they were determined to not have the refs make the final decision. They all worked together. Like there were so many kids in the weight room that year. There were so many kids just determined to like not have it repeat what happened the year before. So going back to what I said, the difference from what I've seen these kids and that group was that they're all tight. Everybody was close together. Like you know how the prima donnas are, like the skilled players. They all hang out with each other, and then all the linemen kind of hang out with each other. But not this group. Everybody hung out with each other. So like the quarterback hung out with the linemen, and the linemen hung out with the DBs. They were just a tight group that year.
So that was back in 2013, right?
Yeah.
So it's been a little bit over a decade now since that championship. Do you still believe it's that same idea of being tight-knit to push through, or has the game evolved and changed where you think some other things are important to go that far?
It's definitely different. I feel like the game is a little bit faster. The kids are learning a little bit different. But I think I didn't mention, but that group actually held everybody accountable for the mistakes or for not being in the weight room. And I feel like sometimes we all don't hold each other accountable as players. Like it's so easy for a player not to take accountability or just say it was somebody else, but they don't look at themselves and try to say, how do I set the example? And especially as a coach too, how do we set the example as well?
I mean, you've been coaching for a very, very long time, but what is your why? And has it changed throughout the years where you kind of lose like that, like I'm getting tired of this? Has it changed at all, or has it always been the same?
No, it's definitely changed. Like my reason why is definitely like I love helping kids out. I love the progression of how they started as a freshman to how they finish as a senior, and them getting recruited, them getting their scholarships. It's definitely like kind of my reason why to actually be there. Is like that father figure that sometimes they can't talk to their own dads, but they can actually talk to you. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of burnt out a couple years ago. It kind of got hard because that group was just, they thought they knew it all. They didn't want to get coached up no more. I felt like, what's my reason to be here if they already know it all and they don't want the help? That freshman class actually brought the love back into me because of how eager they were willing to learn and take the information that I tell them. Mm-hmm. They're so willing, and that's what actually brought me back out. Like Jordan, our center, I actually told his dad too. The other kid's name is Cooper. I talked to him and I told his dad about like how they actually brought like the passion back to me about coaching.
What players and what stories do you have that like you knew that like this was more rewarding than I thought?
The players that like brought a lot of reward to me is like the kids at Chaminade, like the hard work that I know they put in, and I've been there for them, and they've kind of thanked me, and we've kept our relationship close. I think in the beginning years, I still talk to some of my old players from like year 2003 and 2005. Like we still keep in contact. Seeing them grow and experience their own lives, I guess it's definitely made me like proud.
Yeah. Definitely something that you can't express, but when you feel it, and you know it.
Yeah.
What's something that's changed throughout the years of you coaching? Like, I'm pretty sure after a certain amount of time, you feel like, all right, I already know stuff. But some coaches that are new into the game, what's something that they should keep their head on a swivel about?
I'm not gonna lie. When I first started, I was a yeller.
Okay.
I would cuss them out, and I wouldn't love them up afterwards. And now I've kind of realized like I can't be that way all the time.
Yeah. Because
it doesn't help them, and it doesn't help me if they're not mentally there. So that's what I've kind of learned over the years too. For the new coaches, just come in with an open mind. Don't think it's your way is always going to be the best way. Just like understand that, like I said, the kids learn differently.
Yeah. And
have the willingness to learn as well. You can hold a kid to a certain standard, but you gotta bring them up to that standard. Like not just expect them to understand that standard if they don't know it.
What advice would you give to players and coaches on like how to learn and how to learn quick maybe?
I used to watch a lot of film back in the day when I first started. I used to just watch it for hours and then watch, gameplay. But someone kind of told me like, what's the reason? Why am I doing all that? And kind of like deteriorated me from like being so dedicated to it. But basically like watch yourself, watch other people's technique, what you can learn from it, and then kind of put it into your way, or kind of like how you can add it to your own like set of skills, or how to do it. Because like the only difference for me and Coach Sid is that I'm old school. I like so
OG.
yeah. And Coach Sid, like that's what I love about him. He brings all this new stuff, and I'm like, okay, that's something that I would have never thought, or that's something new. Okay, let's just add a little twist to it. And so that's what how me and Coach Sid actually work along great, because he actually takes some of my feedback and he puts it into his way too.
And talk about that a little bit more, right? Because I mean, I don't know how it is at other schools, but there's always like one offensive line coach. How important is that for you to get along with another guy that comes on, and how do you build that relationship?
Like me, like I said, I'm the old man, and I can't just come in there and be like, oh, this is how it's done. You know, like, yeah, the difference for me and Coach Sid is like, yeah, I've coached longer, but he's played Division I football, and I didn't. You know, so he's definitely learned a different aspect than from what I learned. Everything I learned in the beginning, I learned on my own. I had a good offensive line coach in high school. He played at UCLA. And then we actually had 2 offensive line coaches. One played at UCLA, and the other one played at, I want to say San Diego State. And like, that's where I kind of learned my stuff from, and then kind of like put my feel to it. And
what's something that an offensive line should learn, like stance, technique, skills? What do you want to lay down that foundation? What do you recommend?
So I think laying that foundation for offensive linemen, you got to start off. It's definitely stance. You know, if you're not well balanced, you know, it's gonna like throw you off. And then for me, it's definitely your footwork. You gotta like see how your first 2 steps are. Like, you know, is your second step in front of your other one? And if it's not, like, you gotta make sure that like it's in front, because if you don't, you're naturally gonna put that foot back so you can push off the other one.
Okay.
So I think that's definitely in your hand placement. You know, like always trying to keep your hands up and not like on the side of you.
We're in off season right now. What would you recommend they should be doing to stay consistent, and when summer comes around, they're ready to go?
Making sure you get your workouts in. You know, Coach Sid and we do our Saturday workouts, and you know, making sure you're working on your fundamentals and on your skills, where it's gonna help you get better. From when I played, from Coach Sid played, and from how you played, it's different now.
Right.
When I grew up, there was no training for us, and we just kind of had to do things on our own or to try to get better. It's just all the stuff that we need to do to get better.
Well, what advice would you give to kids? I mean, there's like so much social media. There's so many kids getting offers. They're going into these camps. There's so much that they can see, and then they just like get down themselves and like, I don't want to do this. What would you tell them?
I would tell them to stop comparing yourself to other kids. You know, it's all hype. You know, like some of these kids are just like posting just to post so you can like it. But just worry about yourself. Like, if you know you're better than him, then prove it. Like, don't worry about what he's doing or if he's got an offer and why don't you have an offer. Just worry about yourself, because if you keep worrying about what everybody else is doing, you're not gonna get yourself better.
Right.
You're just gonna worry like, oh, I know I'm better than him, but why is he this and that? Like, you don't know if some of those offers are real.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So you've seen kids go to college, you've seen some go to JUCO, you see some not go at all. What did you see differently with the guys that did get like those offers to the university? What separated them from the guys that maybe weren't standing out more?
From over the years, it's definitely the work they put in, like the extra work, the extra workout that we do on Saturdays. You just have to push yourself a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Like, do that extra rep, because there's always somebody else that's doing that extra rep as well. So if you want to get better, do that extra rep. It's not going to hurt you.
So over the years, I mean, technology and everything else has advanced. Do you feel like the way some kids come in, their mentality is different with social media? Like, how has that changed them, like when you're coaching them? Like, do you kind of have to pull them out of that, like, hey, this is social media, this is real life now?
For me, when I played, there wasn't social media. everything we saw was like because of Fox Sports West, and people were watching those high school players. There was no ESPN wasn't talking about high school players like that back then. Every kid can say, "Oh, I'm a 4-star" or "I'm a 3-star," and it might not even be true. But people always want to shit. I try to compare my life to people on social media, but then I realize I can't.
Yeah.
You just have to live your life, and then if all the hard work you do, it's gonna eventually pay off.
All right, so you've been to all these schools. I know you went to Chaminade, you left, and then you came back. What made you stay?
So the old head coach, Ed Croson, I learned a lot from him. How important it is to coach the game up, and how he saw the game. And so just from learning from Coach Croson, who's a legend.
Chaminade legend.
Yeah, Chaminade legend, Birmingham legend. And Coach Croson, he's helped me out, and definitely wanting to be more coached and be a better coach because of the way he was. So that's one of the reasons why I kept going back. And then the first couple of years, Coach Sauter, who was the offensive line coach when we won state, and he's a teacher at Chaminade. Learning from him, that's definitely what definitely had me keep going back, because they're at 100 and I was at a 20. So I was like, okay, I definitely want to keep learning and keep getting better at this.
Yeah. So that was the 2013 year. Now when you came back, Croson's not there anymore. We have Coach Machuca now. How's that going? And what's keeping you there as well?
What's keeping me there is definitely because David Machuca is my boy.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So we actually went to high school together. He was a freshman. I was a senior. He actually played with my nephew. He actually was the one that told me to go to Monroe with him, and then from Monroe we went to Chaminade, and then went to Bell Jeff, and then so it's definitely because of David Machuca, because he's my boy.
Yeah.
I always told him since day one, wherever he goes, I'm gonna roll with you. So it's how it's been. So I don't see myself ever leaving Chaminade unless he decides to.
Yeah.
I gotta bounce, but David loves it there too much. So that's the reason why.
And what do you see from him? You've seen Croson, which again we said is a legend. What do you see from him? What the new generation, right? What is he doing that's keeping that standard of, how Chaminade was?
David definitely learned a lot from Coach Croson. I think the other thing is Coach Croson was, he was up in his age, and he didn't believe in social media. He didn't believe about, going out there trying to have the kids come to Chaminade, why they should come there. And now David's changed it up. We got social media. We got kids going on tours. We got the kids all want to see that. The kids, we have 3 different kind of helmets, 3 different kind of uniforms, and we mix match it, and kids want to see all that stuff on social media so that they can post it.
Right.
So he brings that element of, okay, we got to advance to, all the kids actually want to go out there and work out in the weight room now. And then the showcase, we actually got 3 different schools that come to us, and we have a bunch of college coaches coming not just look at us, but at other kids from different schools, and that definitely brings the kids to be more involved and definitely want us to come there. So it's all because of David Machuca. We weren't doing that stuff before. Nothing against Coach Croson, but we needed to change it to make kids want to come to us.
Yeah.
We've had coaches from SC, from Washington, all over just to come watch, some of our kids and some of the kids from I think it's St. Francis, Valencia, St. Bonnie get looked at because they weren't getting looked at or whatever. So the showcase definitely brings a lot for us.
All right, so we talked about your years of playing high school, JUCO, your 20 plus years of coaching. You've done so much, and who knows, if you would have seen yourself 20 years from now, you didn't think you'd probably be coaching this long, but Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Wow, 5 years, that'd be year 30. Actually, I don't see myself going anywhere. Probably still coaching at a high school. Wherever David wants me to go, I'll go. So it's just, I still see myself just coaching. I love coaching, especially on the lower levels, because that's where I kind of mold them and kind of have them understand. So I don't see myself going anywhere. Just still grinding, waking up on Saturdays, Monday through Fridays, you know. But yeah, I love it. I love what I do.
I appreciate you, Coach. Thank you for coming by.
No problem. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.